welcome back to Very Factual Podcast. We're your hosts, Kayla.
And Izabella, and title challengers Arsenal and Liverpool would take each other on in what was the highlight match of this weekend. Bukayo Saka would get Arsenal started off on the right foot, continuing his recent form. A deflection off Gabriel would equalize Liverpool, and after halftime, Martinelli would put Arsenal 2-1 up. Konate would get a second yellow card, making it harder for Liverpool to come back, and to round up the game, Leonardo Trossard would give Arsenal another goal, getting them the crucial 3 points. This was not the result I was expecting. Like, I am genuinely quite shocked. Like, Arsenal just cut through Liverpool like it was nothing. And I think the only reason why I'm so surprised is because how good Liverpool have been recently, and I just expected them to, like, kind of run over Arsenal.
I honestly expected the score to be flipped, like Liverpool 3,
Yeah.
Arsenal 1, because Liverpool has been honestly amazing. And yeah, Arsenal has been good too, but they haven't been as good as Liverpool recently. And the fact that the only goal Liverpool got was an own goal, like
Yeah.
it shocks me to say that because it's like you wouldn't expect it at all.
Yeah, it's like the last time we saw them play, it was 2-2. So you kind of knew that it was going to be somewhat close, but it's weird seeing this score, especially for how good Liverpool have been recently. And some of the goals that came for both teams were from defensive mistakes. Like the own goal Liverpool got, there was like a mishap between Raya and William Saliba, and that caused Liverpool to equalize. Luis Diaz actually he shot the ball, but it deflected off of Gabriel. So I guess it is technically an own goal, but then again, you could say it was his goal. And then on the other side, Allison and Virgil van Dijk had a mix up, and then that left Martinelli on an open net, which he obviously converted. And it was just like, I didn't expect to see, like, it almost looked even. If I like, I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much was even because watching this game, it was kind of like Liverpool got the ball, and then Arsenal got the ball, but the only difference
Mm-hmm.
was that not Liverpool, Arsenal had their shots and they took them. And you could argue that the only reason that they got the third goal was because of the red card that was given to Liverpool,
Yeah.
but I mean, they still would have won one way or another, judging by this game. And I'm looking at the stats right now, though. Liverpool had more possession, but
Yeah.
Arsenal had more shots. So it just shows that like possession isn't everything. It's more, how many shots you have.
Yeah, like Arsenal had way more opportunities, and you look on like shots on target, Liverpool
Hmm.
only had one, and that was probably like the own goal chance, you could say,
Yeah.
which is crazy because we've talked about Liverpool having probably one of the best front lines in the Premier League, and then you come to a game like this where you need goals, and then one shot on target is all they have.
It's just, they clearly slacked during this game. The one shot on
Yeah.
target was probably that one own goal, which is very sad for
Yeah.
Liverpool. But you can't be, too disappointed. You can be disappointed because, it's not something that you would
Hmm.
expect. But every team has got their bad games. It's just this was not the game for it to be bad.
Yeah, I think for Arsenal, this was a crucial game for them.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it wasn't just a crucial game for Arsenal, it was crucial for like the teams at the top of the table because Arsenal took points off of Liverpool in this game, and that leaves the door open for Arsenal's title hopes. And then so Arsenal are now in second place and they have 49 points. And then that Man City have a game on Monday, which if they win that, they will tie Arsenal on points. And basically, if Arsenal would have lost this, I think they would have just kept getting farther and farther away from a title challenge. But like, I just did not expect this. I did not expect them to have like this comeback almost. Like they are challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it either. I mean, no, here's the thing. I expected that they would challenge for top four, but not for the title because right now, judging by how they're playing, they're still really trying. But do I think they're going to get there? Probably not. But I think they're going to be a challenge now.
Yeah, it's like so. at like Christmas time, Arsenal were falling off. And I was saying up until recently, like, oh, I think Arsenal are done. I think they're out of the title race. And now they're ahead of Manchester City by 3 points. And they're 2 points off of Liverpool. And it's just they turned it around so fast. Like, I guess I didn't look at the table for a bit because I thought
Mhm.
Arsenal, were behind. But they're like right there. Like it's getting so tight now. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, how we've been talking recently was kinda like, yeah, Arsenal's gonna challenge, but they're not gonna be there, but they're
Yeah.
literally, like you said, 2 points away from Liverpool, and if it wasn't for this win, they probably they I don't think they I feel like it would've been much harder for them to challenge for the title.
Yeah, I thought they would fall off. But
Mhm.
it's insane how like Manchester City, we've been seeing like their resurgence, but we haven't been like giving that to Arsenal, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
we go ahead.
No, yeah, because like, Arsenal right now, they're in 2nd, they're 3 points away from City. City right now is actually tied with Villa, who we clearly don't give enough recognition to because
Yeah.
they are tied with Man City. But it's just you were talking about City, but we're not talking about Arsenal, how they literally just beat the top team 3-1,
Mhm.
and the one goal that the top team got was a goal literally by Arsenal. So, it's just we gotta start focusing on the other teams too, because clearly the Premier League is this unpredictable. Manchester United and West Ham, a very anticipated game in my opinion, ended shockingly in a 3-0 win for United. Rasmus Højlund opened the scoring in the 23rd minute and ended halftime at a 1-0 lead for United. Second half started and West Ham was quick to attack but couldn't place any of their shots on net. United quickly countered and Garnacho scored in the 49th minute. Tension grew on the field and West Ham grew aggressive, worrying United fans. However, none of their 22 shots that they had this entire game went in. To seal the deal for United, Garnacho scored one more goal in the 84th minute, putting United on 6th in the table now. And I've got to give it to United. I watched most of this game, and West Ham was pressuring. Their only issue was that they couldn't get any of their shots in, which luckily worked out for United, which I'm happy about. But not only that, United just seemed to have more cohesion in this game, and of course they had, like, their normal United moments, but they worked for this win, and it's I'm kind of happy to see that because not just only during this game where they, just kicking around, they kind of, moved as a unit up to attack, and when West Ham came back to attack them, they didn't really run away, you know?
I love I love how you said they had their like normal United selves or moments or something. That's so funny. Something I found really interesting, right? It's West Ham have I would say they have been in pretty decent form
Mhm.
recently, they've had some tied games. They beat Arsenal 2-0. Last time they played United, they beat United 2-0. And I guess I was just really surprised to see how like the scoreline, it makes it seem like so bad.
Mhm.
Like, because they have been really good recently. And you said they only had like 3 shots on target, which is so sad.
I mean, what I noticed during this game though, in defense and the defense side of United, which I think kind of helped them a little bit, is that they played in a kind of three front block pattern. They had three defensive players helping the attack, and shockingly, I saw Maguire contribute a few times offensively. But then they had one defensive strangler kind of headed back just in case if West Ham came and
Mm-hmm.
pressured. And I feel like that did give United an advantage in this game because they don't normally play in that kind of a pattern in defense, but a negative I've got to mention is that United does always, not always, but usually rely on Garnacho and Højlund to score. Sure, they do have other players that attempt goals like Fernandez and Casemiro, but they can't finish their shots, so United is lacking offensively in that sense.
Yeah, Hoyland's has been on fire recently, and he scored on his
Mhm.
birthday today, which I just found out, which is very nice. I think another negative as well is that Lisandro Martinez had to come off
Yeah.
after he literally just got back, and he's probably like my favorite United defender because I feel like he's one of the only ones that has that heart and has that spirit. So hopefully it's really nothing serious because if it is, you guys are like done for again.
we're pretty much back at the bottom, but we can't say that because we're gonna talk about Chelsea later. But
Oh, shut up, shut up,
Chelsea
shut up.
is something else right now, okay? But I just gotta say, like United, they kind of shocked me during this game. If you
Mhm.
watch this game or even the highlights, you can see that West Ham, they were pressuring. Their only goals, the only reason they didn't go in was because they couldn't finish their shots. Sure, they were shooting them, but they just couldn't go in the net. But it was just there were some amazing opportunities that West Ham have. I feel like United just kind of got a little bit lucky like they normally do, but they honestly put some work into this game to get the score that they got.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Who is like your this is your opinion. Who do you think is United's like most crucial player right now?
I feel like right now, I would probably that's kind of difficult because I would I wanna see, you're putting me on the spot now. I wanna say, uh, Hoyland
Mhm.
or McTominay because McTominay, he didn't score, but he was scoring a lot before, and he still does, contribute to the
Yeah,
team a lot.
yeah, like, I just wanna say this real quick. I feel like
Yeah,
whenever United are in trouble, he literally comes on and just scores. Like
exactly. I feel like he's very crucial to the team, so I'm
mhm.
probably gonna have to go with him right now. He's not my favorite, but he's probably the most crucial.
I feel like he's very underrated, I feel like,
Yeah.
'cause, you know, he didn't start this game, but, like, there's some moments where he just scores when United are just they just need it. Like,
Mhm.
it's I would also probably throw in Kobe Mino just because
Yeah.
you know, he's one of those, like, young United players recently who really made a name for himself, and he's just really growing into the side, and he is a starter already, and he has been for, like, a couple months now, and because you know, United don't have that depth, and
Yeah.
the fact that like Ten Hag, he signed Amrabat to play in the midfield, but he doesn't. He plays Kobe Mino. I kind of love it though, you know.
It's kind of funny, but I mean, hey, it's working. I feel like United is starting to realize, like, hey, we are Manchester United and we're in sixth place right now. Yeah, that's not awful, but it's not amazing either. So hopefully this game against West Ham that they needed this win, and it was a really difficult game. You would expect looking at the score for it to be like, oh, United won 3-0 is probably easy, but it wasn't. West Ham really, really pressured. So hopefully this gives United some confidence, but again, we say that every single game when they win, so who knows?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Just wait until next game, and they're gonna lose like 4-0.
Listen, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. You never know because I mean, this game they did have some kind of strategy back in defense. I noticed they never really played that kind of way. And attacking, sure they couldn't really finish some of their shots, but they did have players at least trying to shoot. So
Okay, you said we'll talk about Chelsea later. Do you want this to be the time we get to talk about Chelsea?
if you want to
I have
sadly talk about them.
I have a lot to say. So Chelsea got humiliated at home by Wolves, losing 2-4. Cole Palmer would open the scoring, putting Chelsea ahead. I was very happy about that. But not long after, Mateus Cunha would level for Wolves, and just before halftime, a deflection off of Disasi would put Wolves in front. Cunha would then complete his hat trick, and then Thiago Silva, he got a goal back for Chelsea, but it wasn't much as Chelsea continue their troubles, and I am embarrassed. I it just doesn't seem real to me that I'm like living in this world. Like if you look at statistics, right? I'm on it right now. Chelsea had 64% possession, Wolves had 36. That is a pretty big gap. And
Yeah.
you look at the shots on target, literally the same. You look at the shots, literally the same. And the thing is, Chelsea cannot score goals for anything. That is our biggest weakness is putting goals in the back of the net. And that's like one of the reasons I feel that Wolves won.
I mean, I've got to agree with you. I was watching part of this game. I was switching between the United and Chelsea game to kind of see, but I noticed that Wolves, when they were at the net, they were pressuring. Like
Mhm.
like the ball was there was a rebound, they took it. They never like hesitated. They were constantly trying to shoot. But Chelsea, they tried to take a shot and they kind of hesitated, and I feel like that they lack in that kind of sense. they don't really try and pressure, they just kind of take their shots, and when they do pressure, sure, they get a little lucky, Cole Palmer, he doesn't get lucky, he's there for a reason,
Yeah.
he's probably one of the star players right now at Chelsea, but
He is
Thiago
the star
Silva,
player.
he
Who
he
else?
is the star player, but Thiago Silva, he's getting older, yes, he's amazing, he's a Chelsea legend, but you gotta realize that he's not gonna be there for a while, and Chelsea needs replacements soon, like, not in the next 6 years like the young people they signed,
Yeah.
they need someone now because this score, it could have been so much better because like you said, the possession and everything, you could have seen Chelsea easily win this game, but they just didn't.
Yeah, it's just our lack of like goal scorers, and it's kind of sad because you look at Raheem Sterling. He was a crazy goal scorer at
Mhm.
Man City. Cole Palmer, he's our only bright spark. I have literally nothing bad to say about him because I love him. I think he,
He's the only reason why you guys have half the
yes,
points you have on the table.
no, for real though. And then I think something I'm really disappointed with is Christopher Nkunku.
Mhm.
He came back. I kept saying that, oh my gosh, when Nkunku comes back, we could get the goals we need and stuff. And I mean, I don't want to say he's doing bad because he's been back. He got injured and now he just came back again. But it's like I guess I was expecting like an instant impact and we didn't get it. And I've seen things saying that pressure is now mounting on Pochettino, and I feel like after this game, I don't like because I love Pochettino. I have like this confidence in him, but I feel like I will say that I genuinely think that pressure is starting to mount up on him.
Mhm. I mean, at this point, when it gets to the point where a club like Chelsea is still kind of slacking, you gotta look at the manager, and yeah, I mean, I didn't like him at first, and I liked him, and I didn't like him. I'm very iffy about him, but I feel like he has the potential there, but more than less, I feel like the players are the issue right now. They don't really have that depth in their squad, so there's not much Pochettino can work with.
I love how it's like they don't have depth in their squad when they have like over 20 players.
Well,
It's
yeah, but they can't
yeah.
play.
So I actually this is like so I sent you something this morning, right? And it said
Mhm.
like Pochettino says that Modric won't play until he improves his form. Half of the players that you are putting out are not improving. I just find that so funny.
He just
Because
kinda picked him and was like, "Hey, you're the only one."
yeah, because Caicedo, he is nothing like he was at Brighton. Enzo
No.
Fernandez, nothing like he was with Argentina at the World Cup. Christopher Nkunku, nothing like he was with Leipzig. Raheem Sterling, I mean, Raheem Sterling, he's like getting older, and I feel like he
Yeah.
is kind of past his prime, but like it's just I think our defensive line, I feel, is like they perform as well as they can. Like even our
Defensive
goalkeeper.
yeah, defensive line you can't be too mad at. You have the players and they're trying. It's just you can't just put all the pressure on defensive because when you're an attacker, when you're offense, you still have to try to at least stop the ball from going back at
Yeah.
defense. And if you can't, then like you cannot only put all the pressure. I feel like the place that Chelsea is most lacking is definitely offensively.
I'm just, 2 seasons ago, we saw Chelsea, they were top of the table at one point.
Mhm.
I still remember this vividly because I was so excited, right? So
I was not.
we had it yeah, United sucked. They were disgusting. Anyways, Chelsea, I still remember this. Chelsea had a Champions League game against Juventus and they won that 4-0. And everyone was saying like Chelsea they're just getting better and better. They're becoming unstoppable. And then our next Premier League game was against United. And what I believe we tied that by
It
a
was
Jaden,
1-1.
yeah, because Jaden Sancho scored and everything just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Like the following season, garbage. This season, we're garbage. I just don't know.
I feel like Chelsea, it kind of got to their heads a little bit because, like you just said, everyone was like, "Oh, they're like amazing now. They're gonna just keep getting better and better." And Chelsea was probably like, "Yeah, we're gonna keep getting better and better," and that's good for confidence. But I feel like they got to the point where it was kind of like, "Oh yeah, well we're the best now. No one can beat us." And then United tied them, and they were kind of like, "Oh no," like.
Yeah, I think you also have to take a look at the fact that our old owner, Roman Abramovich, is no longer there because
Mhm.
of like the Russian sanctions. And then we got this American dude who owns the Dodgers, the
Yep, and
LA Dodgers
I
baseball.
I feel like one of the biggest mistakes Chelsea made was getting rid of Thomas
Yes.
Tuchel, whatever
Yeah, you
his
got
name
it.
is. I feel like that was one of their biggest mistakes that they made for their club because they said, "Oh, he was losing," but he was also winning so many games prior. It was just a bit of a
He
slump, and
he
it's
won
just
us, yeah, he won us a Champions League. You
yeah,
like you have to know that. And you know who fired him, right? Todd Bowley.
American.
Because we lost a Champions League game against Dinamo Zagreb. Dinamo Zagreb aren't even that bad of a team. Like
They aren't.
they're like the best team in Croatia, but it's like after that game, you just fire him the next day. That is like the most random thing I've ever seen. You know, with Graham Potter, the same thing. You know, you get the wrong guy, he plays a few games, and you fire him again. I can't even anymore. Like I'm speechless. I don't know what else to say because we are so bad.
I mean, I'm kind of happy because me personally, I'm a Chelsea hater because of you like them. But so I'm not too mad, but I mean, it's disappointing. They're Chelsea. They should be better and they just can't. Everton and Spurs played on Saturday and shockingly tied 2-2. Richarlison scored both goals for Spurs, with the first being only in the fourth minute, making fans think this would be an easy win for Spurs. In the 30th minute, Harrison tied up the match, but Spurs didn't want to end the half in a tie, so Richarlison scored his second goal right before a halftime whistle, ending it in a 2-1 score. Second half began and Everton came out strong, attacking Spurs and taking as many shots as they could. However, none went in until added time when Branthwaite tied up the game. Spurs honestly didn't live up to my expectations. This game, but you gotta give it to them for keeping their lead most of the second half. Um, Everton was really pressuring them, and they played a lot better than I expected. I mean, they had 14 shots on Spurs and maintained 43% possession this entire game.
Yeah, there was so Spurs fans were very mad about the
Mhm.
outcome because there was a controversial call. So basically, what happened is so Vicario, the goalkeeper, right? This was, I believe, leading up to the first Everton goal, or maybe it was the last one. I'm not sure. But anyways, so Jack Harrison, right? He was leaning on Vicario. He was like leaning into him like you do on a corner kick, right?
Mhm.
You know, everyone is super tight and stuff. And people do it all the time. Like and then Spurs fans were like crying about it, saying that, oh, it should have been a free kick and stuff. It's like, okay, but as a goalkeeper, you have to be strong. You can't fall down.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that Spurs fans are just saying because they're disappointed in the win. Because Everton, yeah, they lost their 10 points because of something that happened. I forgot what happened, but they're still a good team. I feel like people underestimated
Oh
them. I mean,
yeah,
I
they're
certainly did.
really good.
Mm-hmm. But something about Spurs, about their style of play in the second half, they defended from like the back end. And what I mean by that is that their defensive line was sitting back towards the goal and didn't move that line up with the attackers when they were moving forward. They kind of just sat back there as a safety, and that's probably what costed them most of the game. And because like in Everton, we saw them defending from the front, like forcing Spurs back, which is what gave them that tying goal. And if Everton's shot on net were more, on net, then Spurs definitely would have
Mm-hmm.
lost. And that's just like it's honestly it goes down to how you play the game. If your defense moves up with the offense, then you're more likely to get shots because that defensive line is, closer up. But, Spurs kind of sat back. They were more scared, I feel like.
Yeah, like Everton made it hard. They have been great this season. I feel like they just responded so well from being 2-0 down. I mean 2-1. Yes, it was 2-1. Um
Mhm.
so yeah, sorry. I'm like lost. Anyways, I think the like you said, Spurs defense, they sit back and I think Everton found the weakness in there. They're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, we know what they do, we can kind of manipulate them." And I think that's Spurs' biggest problem because they have been conceding some late goals. And they can't just do that every single game. Like, you need to fix that if they want to be in the Champions League next season. I think that has been affecting them in a lot of uh like games that they've had recently. And I think they're an overall like good side. I think they're really well rounded. It's just the defense has their problems sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes it is a good strategy to play, like, defensive back, but in this case, it wasn't when your offense gets a chance to attack, your defense moves up with them, and I feel like Spurs, they didn't really do that. I mentioned in United, they had those, like, 3 defenders
Mhm.
coming up to help attack and that 1 strangler. If Spurs at least did that, I feel like it definitely would have helped them at least keep their score or, maybe win the game. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I think a bright spark for Spurs that Richarlison looked amazing. I
Mhm.
think, he scored 2 goals against his former club. Like, he's been really in form lately. And I think Everton tying up the game almost took away his shine because he was absolutely incredible in this game. And I will say I'm not the biggest fan of Richarlison, but I don't know. I just never really liked him. I don't know. I just had like this bad vibe, but he did great in this game. And when he first came to Spurs, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. He was giving nothing to the team, and he's in form right now. I don't think he is the Harry Kane replacement that you want, but you have him if you need him, which is good for depth.
I mean, he scores goals, and that's all you can really ask for because I don't think there is gonna be, like, a Harry Kane replacement because Harry Kane, he was, like, definitely one of the best in Spurs history, but, he definitely set up a standard, and Spurs, you can't be too mad at Richarlison because he scored the goals. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of him either, but he's doing what he's asked, so that's all you can really say.
Yeah, so basically Spurs dropped a point, so that puts them in 5th place right now. But there was 2 other crucial top 4 games that took place. Um the one on Saturday that had everyone talking was Newcastle Luton, and I just want to quickly mention this. It ended 4-4. Luton scoring 4 goals.
Against Newcastle,
I
who
think
ended last season in top 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's insane. I think Luton, they've been picking up some form recently, and
they
it's
really have.
crazy to say because I thought they were going to be like the worst team in the Premier League.
I mean, one of their goals came from a penalty, but other than that, like, I don't like penalties. I feel like they're just free goals. And yeah, I'm so opposed to them. I feel like it's just you didn't work for the goal and it can alter the entire score of the game, as you can see here. But still, Luton, like you said, they've gained their form. They are more of a challenge than what I expected.
Yeah, so that means Newcastle, they dropped a point. Newcastle are actually 9th place, which I did not realize how far down they are.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just shocking because they played, like, really good in the beginning of the season, and they started slacking, and they had 2 or 3 good games, Champions League and stuff, and then they're just not good anymore. I feel like people just kinda put them back at the bottom how they were 2 years ago.
And another team that is actually currently in top 4 and have been flying at the moment is Aston Villa. 5-0 against Sheffield United. They are just on fire, and I feel like we don't give them enough credit.
I mean, yeah, Sheffield's bottom of the table and Aston Villa is literally in 4th, but we don't give them enough credit, they have and the fact that every single goal was scored by a different player shows how
Mhm.
many players they really have that they can score. There was, McGinn, Watkins, Bailey, I have no idea how to say Tielemans.
Tielemans. You
Tielemans
you
and
got it.
Marino. And Marino. So every single goal was scored by someone different, which proves how much depth Villa really has, especially in their offensive and midfield lineups. So that's really what puts them in 4th place right now. And I feel like we don't shine enough light on them because at least in my head, they've always been kind of mid-table team. And now that they're not, it's just it throws me off.
Yeah, I think their whole side I feel like is almost perfect. Like, they have the
Yeah.
perfect players. Ollie Watkins is amazing. Like, I literally think he can go to the Euros with England if he just continues this form. I think the only thing is that their defense right now, it's so basically they had Pau Torres at the beginning of the season, but he got injured. But Pau Torres really established himself into that side, and I think sometimes they could be a bit wonky on the
Mhm.
defense, like especially against bigger teams. But it's Sheffield, and they pose no threat. And I think that Villa could finish top four because I don't see Liverpool, Arsenal, and City going anywhere unless I mean there's Spurs there too. Oh dang, this is gonna be tight.
It is, and, something about Villa not Villa, but that I mentioned before is that, the offense isn't just offense, sometimes they have to help prevent the ball come back to defense,
Yeah.
and since they have such a strong offensive and midfield lineup, that definitely helps them with their more weaker defense side, so, it's just that's what I feel like is bringing Villa in 4th in a title race right now with and all the points are so close, it's gonna be really tight at the end of the season.
Yeah, and we're gonna see how the top four continues to fare next weekend.
Yeah, so that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Don't forget to follow our Instagram and YouTube at Very Factual Podcast.